Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to a brand new episode of At the Buzzer Sports, where we talk all things basketball all the time. I am your host, John Drummond, and today we're going to be talking about the Denver Nuggets and their loss of rotational pieces. Now, as we all know, the Denver Nuggets look like one of the most unstoppable teams in the league from last season to this season, heading all the way up into the Minnesota series. If you were to ask a collective of NBA fans, their championship favorite would have been the Denver Nuggets, until they faced the Minnesota Timberwolves team, who was probably the best team that they have faced in their entire playoff run since winning the championship until now. And then they started getting cracks in their armor. Minnesota started playing great defense. They started getting very physical with Jamal Murray. They started attacking the glass against the Denver Nuggets. And then we're looking around the league, and all the rest of the league is watching like this team is not as invincible as we thought they were. I think they got blown out by 40 plus in game 6 and then went on to blow a 20 plus point lead in game 7 to eventually lose the series. You had 4 home games in that playoff series and you lost 3 of them. And Denver's supposed to be one of the toughest places to play ball. So you go into this offseason, people are like, Denver is still a championship level team. You have the best player in the league. You probably have the best duo in the league. So nobody goes into the offseason and thinks that this Denver team can fall out of that championship contention tier. They're going to be right back next year, maybe with a few more tweaks in their roster. But what happens? They lose KCP because they don't want to go into the second apron. They also lost Bruce Brown. Last year because they didn't want to be really. They didn't want to. I'm gonna cut that whole part out. Please, just John, remember to cut that shit out. They also lost Bruce Brown last year after failing to pay him, and he ended up going to the Indiana Pacers. And I just think it's very irresponsible to have the best player in the league at the peak of his powers and to be cheap and bringing in players to really bring in some more championships. And I just feel like this is how the Kansas City Chiefs were the past 2 seasons with Patrick Mahomes. The Kansas City Chiefs failed to bring in players around Patrick Mahomes because they know he is head and shoulders the best player in the league. But after the struggles that happened this year, they started to bring in more championships. But Patrick Mahomes is so good that he still brought the Chiefs to Super Bowl. Anyway, let's stop talking about football. I just want to see the Denver Nuggets put a truly good team around Nikola Jokic like they had in the 2023 season. Now, I know with the CBA rules and the cap rules that it's going to be a lot more difficult to do that, but as a championship team, you cannot keep putting faith in these young guys, especially all these young guys you're about to put faith into. There are 3 young guys like Christian Brown, Peyton Watson, and Deron Holmes who are going to get significant minutes for this Denver Nuggets team, and they're going to have to produce at a high level for a championship team. And now they bring in a guy like Russell Westbrook, who has not shot at league average his entire career. Now let's talk about the Denver Nuggets shooting splits this season. In the regular season, they shot 37.4% from 3 on 56.2 effective field goal percentage. And for catch and shoot, they shot 38.2% on 22 attempts a game. On pull-ups, they shot 34.8 on almost 9 3-point attempts per game. And then this year, they ranked 29th in 3-point attempts at 31.3, only being higher than the Los Angeles Lakers. This postseason, they dropped to 33.2% from 3-pointers while shooting 51.9 effective field goal percentage. Catch and shoot, they were 34% on 24 3-point attempts a game, and on pull-ups, they were 31.3% and 7 3-point attempts per game. So you're telling me a non-shooting guard who needs the ball in his hand is going to get better with that? You're telling me in a playoff setting they're not going to be helping off Russell Westbrook? And it confuses me because we know the Denver Nuggets, when Nikola Jokic isn't in the game, Jamal Murray is. When Jamal Murray's not in the game, Nikola Jokic is. They try to keep either one of those players in at all times, which is obviously the right thing to do. I just don't know how you're going to play Russell Westbrook and Jamal Murray. You want to obviously have Jamal Murray with the ball in his hand. I mean, he is a good off-ball player. And then how are you going to pair those two up defensively when Nikola Jokic is not in the game? This is a team that drops drastically when Nikola Jokic is not on the floor. And teams eyeball that. Teams are like, okay, Nikola Jokic is not on the floor. This is the chance where we win. If you're going to put Russell Westbrook next to Jamal Murray, what type of fit are you going to have when it comes to 3 balls? Because I can see Russell Westbrook, Jamal Murray, Peyton Watson, Dario Saric, and Aaron Gordon lineup. The only floor spacer you really have is Murray and Dario Saric. And then if we look at Jokic and Russ type of lineup, you have maybe Russ, Christian Brown, Peyton Watson. Rush, Christian Brown, Michael Porter Jr., Dario Saric, and Nikola Jokic. I find that a lot better than a Russell Westbrook and Jamal Murray lineup. But this is a player who gives you great spurts in games. When he's on, he's on. But when he's off, he's off. And I just don't think we can really expect the same Russell Westbrook that we saw maybe in his early Clipper days or in that playoff series against the Phoenix Suns. And ultimately, I just don't think Russell Westbrook fits this type of play that the Denver Nuggets have. I think he's a great name to have. I think it's something that the fans will be interested to see. But when it comes to 9 Jokic minutes, I don't think Russell Westbrook contributes to that at all. And then when we look at teams like the Dallas Mavericks or the Oklahoma City Thunder or the Minnesota Timberwolves or even the Los Angeles Lakers who are going to clog the paint, how are we going to depend on Russell Westbrook, Aaron Gordon to make these type of jump shots when they're in the game? I think Michael Porter Jr. will do fine. I think Jamal Murray will do fine. But we're really about to depend on Deron Holmes, Peyton Watson, Christian Braun, Aaron Gordon, and Russell Westbrook to make threes consistently. I just think it was a lazy way to really build a team around your best player. This is the best player in the league. I like Deron Holmes. I think he is a great pickup, especially for the big man depth that you had going into last season. But as for the three-point shooters around, you don't even need any high-quality guys. You could have went and got guys like Malik Beasley and Luke Kennard, and they would have been fantastic fits for your team. You just need guys who know where to be at the time they need to be there, and one of the best playmakers in the league is going to find them. But instead, you get a non-shooting, ball-dominant guard who needs the ball in his hand and is only going to need the ball in his hand and only going to play make when he's going downhill. I think he's a decent cutter. I think he'll find a way to be effective that way, but I just don't think he fits this Denver Nuggets team. Overall, the Denver Nuggets, they're lucky they have the best player in the league, if you ask me. I still think they're a championship contending team, but that is solely off their starting five. Anyway, let me know what you guys think in the comments. What happened with the Denver Nuggets? Do you give it an A? Do you give it an F? Let me know what you think of Denver signing Russell Westbrook, and I'm out. Peace. Hey, make sure you subscribe, by the way. Make sure you subscribe. I'm at 326 now? Subscribe. 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 Subscribe.